Hello to all my dark artists out there. Seth Dark Arts back once again. And to kick this video off, I got quite a few things I want to say today. I've been meeting a lot of interesting people from the internet, people who have come across my videos at some point and felt that there was a connection and they needed to contact me for whatever their private reasons were. And I've been privileged to hear some of their personal stories and their personal accounts that they've been sharing with me. And I say privilege because it is a privilege, for me anyway. People don't have to share these personal encounters and stories with anybody, so thank you. I really do appreciate hearing them. Because when you hear other people's stories, it just gives you further validation for your own accounts. Not that you need someone else's verification or validity, someone else's stories to validate your own experiences, but it does help. It really does, because it makes you realize that you're not just going crazy and slowly losing your mind because other people having these exact same accounts, and in some cases even the details are so close that it's almost the exact experience. And sometimes they're very different, but you can see correlations between the other ideas. And yeah, I've come across a lot of interesting stories. I mean, man, I got so many things to share with you guys today. If you think I've blown you away in other videos, I'm about to take you on another level right now. Yeah. There's well, first I want to kick off this one story. A person contacted me through Facebook. She saw my videos and she felt that she had to contact me for some reason, whatever it was. And basically, we hit it off right from the beginning. Same line of thought, and we just connected right out the gate, and we've been having an ongoing conversation back and forth. And this person, I didn't find out much later, because she came across one of my other videos where I mentioned about the Seth Material. Yeah, I know, here we go again, him and his damn book. But yo, man, I'm telling y'all, a lot of the questions that you guys keep shooting to me, I don't mind trying to give my own personal ideas and things that I've experienced with them. But hey, man, the only reason I keep pushing this book is because if you actually read the book, and you could even get a copy online, probably a PDF file or something, to just check it out to see if you actually want to spring the money for it. But the only reason I keep pushing this book is because basically people who have read this book, it unlocks the codes and it unlocks the gateways inside of yourself. And I've said it many times before, and I'll probably mention this in other videos in the future. It really does just unlock doors. I would call it, I told a friend once, it's a type of, for me, I would call it actually I forgot the term that I called it, but it was something along the lines of like a readable psychedelic or something like that. It's not the exact term I use, but alright, we'll go with that. But basically what I meant was, it was a psychedelic in book form. Everyone's running out. I'm not trying to bash people or anything who want to go that route, to each his own. But a lot of people feel that they need to do psychedelics in order to unlock those codes and unlock those doors in their mind and in the consciousness. And to be honest, yes, it is true to some extent. They really do. If you're into taking psychedelics, they can, at least if you're a closed-minded person who has completely zero experiences, they can shift your consciousness so that you can become aware of other realities that are going on around you. But there are other ways to unlock those codes, and basically, I probably said it before, a shift in consciousness and shifting to another reality is simply a shift in your psyche. Different realities are nothing more than different states of the psyche, or different shifts in consciousness. We don't actually need to go anywhere. You can go anywhere you want, not only in the world, but in the universe. You go anywhere you want if you took the time to study your own subjective consciousness and see what you can do with it. You can go anywhere. You don't have to go anywhere. Back to those inner senses. The inner senses will take you wherever you want to go. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. And I'll probably touch on that in the future in some other videos. But keep telling you guys, man, you need to start working on those inner senses. A lot of questions I keep getting, like I said, I don't mind tackling them, but a lot of people are not going into their inner senses enough. They hear me talk about it, but they're not. You got to do your research. Type it in, inner senses. Start doing your research. But anyway, back to what I was saying about this book. So anyway, this girl, she was well versed in this book. I don't know if she read how many books of them or not, but I don't know if she read just the first book or she's went into other books, but even if she just read the first book, she was well versed enough to have a conversation with me on a level that I rarely have with other people. As a matter of fact, there's only one person that, well, actually there's two. There's about two that I go into these deep levels with. But over here in Japan, there's only one. So there's only one person that I can really sit down and we go into some deep, super deep topics where the average Jane or Joe could not sit in on our conversation because they will not be able to comprehend what we're talking about. And that's not to put anybody down. I'm just saying that that's the level that we're on and the things we're tackling when we discuss certain topics. So she went into this book. I found out much days later after we were talking that she was into this book, and it changed her life. And keep telling you, man, everybody who touches this book, well, not everybody, some people might not like it, but it really does some work for you, because it's nothing about religion. It's nothing about following any dogma. It's all about going within yourself. And a lot of books out here, they'll tell you that you got to believe in this, you got to believe in that, and I just tell you one line that I remember clearly. I think it's from the first book, where Seth clearly says, "Don't bow down before any man, woman, or dogma." Now, how many books are going to tell you that? A lot of places, religions, books, or whatever have you, they're going to tell you got to worship this person, you got to follow this deity, you got to make offerings, and he's simply saying, hey, man, you don't have to worship anybody. Worship yourself. What more positive feedback can you get than someone saying, worship your damn self? Don't worship anybody. Worship yourself and don't bow down before anybody. That sounds like power talk to me. And I could roll with that. I could definitely roll with that. But yeah, so I'm going on a rant. Let me stop. Anyway, yeah, back. She read this book. We didn't know it. So anyway, this is where the interesting part comes in. She sent me a message the other day. She said that she was going to try. She was at home with her daughter, and I guess before going to work or something, she decided to take a nap. And she felt that since I am already, up in the level of traveling around and jumping through the universe at will, she decided to try and contact me through one of her projections. And she did not tell me about this before she did it. She just simply did it. And afterwards, I got a message from her saying, hey, I'm giving just a rough, summarizing. But basically, she was like, look, I decided to try to contact you. I went to bed, took a nap with my daughter, and basically she said I appeared before her face. And now, I got to step back a little bit. When this person contacted me on Facebook, and the moment I saw her photo, I definitely knew this person. I said, I know her. I know her. How do I know her? I couldn't stop looking at her photo. I actually looked at her photo for about a day, on and off. I kept going back to the photo saying, where do I know this person from? I definitely know her. What's going on? And I just couldn't pinpoint from where. So now back to what I was saying earlier. So she tried to contact me, And she said I appeared in front of her in her dream state. And I appeared in front of her face and I said, "Hey, I know you." That's exactly what she said I said. I said, "Hey, I know you." And then some other dialogue came along. Someone was like, "Hey, I know you, and we've been talking." Now, the moment as I'm reading this on the Facebook page through the messenger, as I'm reading her story, things started happening inside of me. I started getting these feelings, man, and I was like, "Wait a minute, this story." It was just a strange feeling because it was like it was as if she hacked into my account somewhere, ripped my story, and was plagiarizing it as her own. It was all too familiar immediately. As soon as I heard that quote, "Hey, I know you," and then that's when it clicked. And I know a lot of y'all are gonna say this is bullshit, but this is what happened, man. This girl, we did meet. I met her back in January in one of my travels that I went through. I ran back to my records. This is why I keep telling you to write things down, because sometimes it may not seem important at the moment, but it could be a few months later, it could be a year later that things start connecting. So I went back into my archives, did some research, and I found the story that I wrote down back in January of this year. And in that experience, I was crossing through multiple timelines. I was connecting with people from my childhood, and I was explaining to them that I was not the exact same person that they knew. I was from an alternate timeline, and I was outside of their official line of consciousness, but we had some similarities. And in that experience, I was correlating the differences between them and the actual people that I knew back from this side of reality. So in that experience, I turned around and there was this woman there. The woman, it was her. It was exactly her. And she had long hair. The only difference was this person's hair naturally, I believe it's kind of red or reddish. And in that experience, she had long black hair. And in that experience, I remember, I wrote it down exactly. I turned and looked at her and I was shocked because in that experience, I knew her and I didn't know from where. And we both were shocked. She knew me, I knew her. Like the moment we locked eyes, we recognized each other. And it was like, oh. And I said exactly, "Hey, I know you." And then she kind of was like, "Yeah, I know you too." And we were like, "We've been talking." And the moment I said that, boom, I shot back to the body and I opened my eyes. And according to this woman's experience, well, not according to, this is what she wrote down to me, with no account of my story. She said, the moment I said, "Hey, I know you," and we've been talking, boom, I disappeared. I was out. I vanished, and I guess she came back to her waking state. But it was the exact same account. And like I said, I know a lot of people are going to say this is too far-fetched, but I got a lot more to share with you. But yeah, so that's what happened, man. This is what happened. I met her back in January. Now, I know I got to clear some points up. I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to draw one more story on you. You all know that story I had, excuse me, with the shadow entity. And if you go back to that video, I told you that he gave me a message. He told me that to stop playing games and stop causing trouble. These are the realities, because y'all know how I do. You know, I start traveling, man. I'm not a troublemaker, but like I said, go back and watch the other videos. For that short period of time, I was trying to get the attention of something, and it worked the way I wanted to. But anyway, it said that, and then it said, however, you will be rewarded for your bravery and your... No, it said, you will be rewarded for your honesty and your bravery. And I told you, he lifted up his hand, and that bright light blasted out of his hand, lit up the whole room, and knocked me back into my body. And I told you in that video I had to meditate on what he meant by I will be rewarded for my bravery and honesty. And I don't know what he did to me. I don't know what happened. But I did mention that afterwards I started noticing differences in my abilities and a lot of changes. And I've come to the conclusion that at least one of the things that have been done to me, one, I have been, how do I say this? Basically, I've been given knowledge. I can't go into detail, but I've been given much more deeper knowledge about the so-called shadow entities, shadow people. Um, yeah, I just been given a lot more info on them, a different understanding, and at the same time, one of the new abilities that I gain is the stronger ability to enter people's dream states. I know, sounds like bullshit. But I'm only going by my own experience. Either entering people's dream states or entering into their trance states. Now, the second story I'm going to drop on you. Another person that I know, gave me the account that she sent me a mail. She was like, hey, did you appear in my room at 2 a.m.? And I said, what are you talking about? And she was like, she woke up at about 2 a.m. because she heard a loud noise in her room. And from her neighbors, she got some crazy ass neighbors next door in the next building screaming. And she got up and told them to shut the hell up out the window. Yeah, it's real like that. Sometimes it's rare, but it happens. But anyway, so when she went to go back on her bed, she looked in the corner, and who was there? Of course, it was me. She saw my face, and she said she was really shocked. It startled her. She was like, is that you? And I was like, yeah, I'm here. And she said, can I turn on the TV? And I was like, yeah, whatever, go ahead. And she turns on the TV, and she said that I was there, but my body appeared to be kind of transparent. She could see through it. And she said we both laid down on her bed and started kissing it and getting it on. And she said it was completely a real experience. At that time, she was wide awake, and it was real, the real deal. And then suddenly, boom, I just vanished, and I was out. And she said afterwards she was confused. She didn't know what was going on because she's never had that kind of experience ever in her life, and not that vivid. And she was confused as to, was it a dream? Was it real? Now, honestly, I did project to that person. I did. But I did not project myself to them at that exact same point, at that moment. And this is the same deal with the story with the previous person about how I projected to them. She projected herself to me, and we had the exact same account and story, and I recognized her suddenly, but it wasn't at the exact same time, which brings me to this new conclusion of, because the barriers in space and time are not real, and it's all an illusion, in physical reality it can appear as a drag or a time lag. So even if I'm like that person that I appeared in their room, yes, I did do that, but I think I did that, it was probably like 2 days earlier or something. And that other story, yeah, that happened for me back in January, and this happened just the other day with her. So it seems to me that, at least with this new ability that I've taken on, I can project to people either into their dream states or into their trance states. But just say for example, if I did it today on a Thursday at a specific time, they might pick up that experience at, just say, a week later, or in the other case, like a few months later, like 6 months later. But this is why you need to document things, because when you put the stories together, you can see the correlations and find out, yes, this was definitely the same experience, because there's too many things similar for it just to be a coincidence. I guess the biggest part from the first story is not the simple fact of we both had the same little dialogue, but the fact that I recognized her from that encounter I had back in January. It was her. So, and I'm not saying I'm special. There's been many cases of shared dreams and shared astral projections and all these things. I'm simply saying that in this past, right after I had that experience, that shadow entity, and he flashed that light on me, and I think he downloaded me with some new knowledge, because my abilities and my thoughts have taken a completely different turn right after that. And it seems that I've been powered up in a different way now and have a different understanding of the universe. So yeah, that's what happened. And there was one more account with another person who I told her about the inner city. But I told all of you about I've been working on my inner city. I keep telling y'all, you need to start building that city, or at least, if that's too much of a task for you, start working on that inner temple of yours and start structuring it. So that could be a place that you could hook up, go into, meditate, do your work and your mental work, have a place to meet your ancestors, and so on and so forth. But yeah, this person now. Got to get back to this book. This person has read the Seth Material. Let me correct that. I keep saying the Seth Material. The Seth Material, that's the title of a book, but that might not be the best book for you guys to start out on. You can get that if you want, but the real book, the real one that starts kicking off the deep knowledge, the Seth Material was actually kind of like, it has a lot of good information. In that book, it goes into the inner senses and all that, but it's kind of basically just about how this whole phenomenon kicked off with Seth and Jane Roberts and all that stuff. But the real book, which is Seth's first book that he actually dictated, comes from, it's called Seth Speaks, The Eternal Validity of the Soul. So you could look that up on the internet in your own free time and get a copy or something, or a PDF file. And just drop a note on you real quick with these books. When she went into these trance states, she would dictate these books, and her husband would write them down, one shot, no draft. She was dropping books like pancakes, man. I'm talking like, just say for example, like in 2 weeks, she would have a whole book completed, no draft, one shot, exactly the way it was. Boom, you got a whole book. So, I'm not gonna get much into that, but do your own research and find out. But anyway, this other person, I told her about my inner temple, and I described to her states I got, things I'm working on, and she sent me back a full detailed account. And you know who you are out there. She came to my temple, and yeah, she came to my temple. We had a good time, and she went into some real details of things that happened and things that we were learning. I was teaching her, and we were going through this travel, and thing I told her to look out for, and I'll share this with all of you now. I'm working on this city. I've been working on it for a while, and this is a place where other travelers, if you're up in the astral realms, you could come there and check it out and learn and meet other entities and all these other things. And just as a signpost, I don't want to give too much detail because I don't want to give any preconceived ideas, but I'll just give you the main marker to look for. In the middle of the city is a large black pyramid. That's right, black pyramid. And I'm opening this door up for other travelers to come to. So if you go into your deep meditations, if you want to contact me or come see what's going on in my realm, that's a marker for you to look for or to focus on. In my city, and the place I'm working on, there's a large black pyramid in the center. And it may appear different to some people because I like to change things up. One day it might be marble, someday it might be a type of, I basically keep it like a marble type of pyramid, but sometimes I shift it up to stone or something, but basically it's all black. So keep that in mind. And yeah, you can have that as a post. If you get lost in one of your travels, if you feel you're frightened or something, you got a safe haven to get to. Come shoot down to my city. Remember that black pyramid, and use that as a point. And if you're lucky and conscious enough, we'll hook up and have these conversations. So she came to my city and we hit it off, and she contacted me.